Good morning. Merhaba. If everybody could take his or her seat, so we can start with the usual 15 minutes academic quarter delay. My name is Frank Dont. I am Secretary General of the International Society of City and Regional Planners, all well known now as ISOCARP. It's my pleasure to be the master of ceremony of this morning session, and I will be taking you through the program, but I believe we also have a recap of yesterday, so I don't know if that is ready, if we can start with that before anything else, just as a warming up. That is wonderful. Well, that tells us more than many words could do. And it didn't even include the first official ISOCARP run, which was also a great event last night with many participants. Some were running faster than others, but we all came back to the same place in good health, maybe even better health. And it's certainly something we would like to take away from here as a legacy for the next congresses. So next time, please bring all your sneakers and some running gear, but not the t-shirt. We will provide you the running t-shirt as well next year, hopefully. Yes. So we are now getting ready for another exciting day. It's again a heavy loaded program, but it's very modular, so you have plenty to choose from. I must say the day started already earlier today with another Women in Planning shared journeys and coffee, and I think it's really a great initiative that people are motivated enough to get up so early and already start talking and walking. So kudos to that initiative, and hopefully this will also continue as a kind of established part of our congresses. So this morning we will have a couple of interesting, and I must also admit I'm happy that it started with the Women in Planning, because this whole morning session is quite male dominated, so our apologies. I think it's more a coincidence than intended. But today we have a couple of interesting keynotes before 11, and also the award ceremony. So I will introduce everyone that will come on the podium. But of course, you know the program. Check it out. I will not go in detail over the program, all the wonderful track sessions, the Urban Health Forum, Regional Forum, Transformations in the Arabian Gulf's Urban Landscape, very exciting. We have presentations by the ISOCARP Institute, another special session on future trends in strategic urban planning in the Gulf, in the GCC, fascinating. And then last but not least, I would say, for all the members, and if you're not a member yet, you will become a member, of course. For all the members, another exciting annual general meeting 5:30 p.m. until 7 in Juman room. So all welcome, well, all the members welcome, but as I said, you can apply for membership anytime, 24/7. So I wish you all a fantastic third Congress Day. For some of us, it's not the third day, it's already the sixth day, because as you know, this is the first ever hybrid conference. So we already had a pre-Congress, and now we have the in-person, but we also have people following us virtually. So that makes it all a bit complex, but also very, very fascinating. So now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to our first keynote speaker this morning, Professor Dr. Klaus Kunzmann, Jean Monnet, Professor of Spatial Planning. Klaus graduated from the School of Architecture of TU, Technical University Munich, in 1967. 1967, I was 4 years old, yes, and got a PhD planning from the TU Vienna in Austria. After 3 years working with Dortmund, with German consultants, he was appointed as Professor of Spatial Planning at the University of Dortmund, the oldest and biggest planning school in Germany in 1974. From 1993 until his retirement in 2006, he has held a personal Jean Monnet professorship on spatial planning in Europe, and in 1987 he initiated the foundation of ISOP, the Association of European Planning Schools, and served as its first president. He is honorary professor of the Bartlett School of Planning at the University College London, and visiting professor of Dongnam University in Nanjing, of course in China, and an elected member of the German Academy for Spatial Planning, ARL, and the honorary member of the Royal Town Planning Institute in London. Since his retirement in 2006, he is residing in Potsdam, Germany, and as you can see, still traveling frequently to Asia and relentlessly Asia, not only Asia, also to the Gulf apparently, and relentlessly writing on territorial planning in Europe and China. I also have vivid memories to be with Klaus on a ship to Hydra Island from Athens, after jointly attending the European Council of Town Planners meeting in Athens in 1996, where we discussed a new charter of Athens. So 1996, well, that's already some time ago. So it has been really a pleasure to work with Klaus, and also to call you back on the stage, Klaus. So please take the floor.
Good morning, Shalom Aleichem. It's a big pleasure for me to be here, and I would like to thank ISOCARP for inviting me. And it is also my first face-to-face meeting since we have this COVID pandemic, which changes a lot of communication. I will talk about better cities, and you see from my brief outline what I will talk about. COVID-19, trends before and after the pandemic, what are better cities, what will change, and better cities after pandemic, what can planners really do? Now this works, but I have to do it myself here as well. COVID-19 has hit and alarmed the world. Locked down countries and cities for limited time periods, and it's still locking down. I just got the news from my home country that it looks not very good in Germany at the moment. What happened is that digitalization was accelerated tremendously. Globalization was slowed down. Now we call it slowbalization. We have more populism now. People are looking inward. Planners in all countries have a tendency now to rather look inward. The pandemic has inspired smart academic and media authors to write popular and fast food books on the impact of the pandemic. Already now you cannot really read all the books which have been written about pandemics. Even after 2 weeks or 3 weeks after it started, the first books have been on the market speculating about the future. I will also do a little bit of that. And until Glasgow, the pandemic has replicated climate change for a while to be just a second concern. Sorry for that, I'm so used to use this. The pandemic has forced citizens to stay and work at home, cancel their holidays, spend holidays near their homes, promoted home office practice, at least for some time, in online learning, increased the profits of digital global players tremendously. Local distribution centers and delivery service, Amazon made tremendous profits during the last 2 years, as well as bicycle factories in Germany and camping van producers. They have seen tremendous profits during the last 2 years. But on the other side, many small businesses and entrepreneurs of the service and cultural economy sectors went into bankruptcy. The pandemic has raised trust in a more powerful public sector. So we had a time when the public sector was not really a friend of the liberal economy, but now the public sector has raised its profile. And as I said, planners and architects, city managers and journalists speculate about post-COVID life and work. So the pandemic has become a very comfortable argument for all kinds of excuses. Whenever you want to do something these days in Europe, you say, oh yeah, because of pandemic, we have to do this or we don't have to do that. So everybody would say, yes, I understand. The community of social scientists, architects, and planners has speculated. Most writings are just speculations based on armchair evidence and a few, mostly very local data. But to be frank, general global trends will not change urban development in the market economy. I don't think that the pandemic will change much. The daily life will be digitalized, e-shopping will continue, industrial production will move towards Industry 4.0, technical infrastructure networks in cities, the smart city fever will continue, office work will partly digitalized, will partly hybrid, and the public administration will be digitalized. Though these changes and impacts on planning and urban development may differ from region to region. So I think it is very important to say that the impacts in my country, Germany, are different from the impacts in France, in Sweden, and of course, different from the impacts in China, in the Middle East, and in the United States. So as planning is always rooted in the soil, also the impacts of COVID will be totally different from country to country, apart from a very few general indicators. Oh, sorry. I thought this is linked to this one, but it is not, as I understand. Sorry. So I said many trends will be similar, but planning cultures are different from country to country. What I have been now for the first time here in Doha, what I have seen could not be done in my country. So planning cultures are different, And Europe alone speaks 24 official languages, what many people outside of Europe would not even believe. And now we don't, apart from Ireland, we don't even have an English language country, but English is the language of the European Commission. So let me briefly sum up a few, very briefly, I don't go into any details. Trends of urban development in Europe. We have a concentration of innovative jobs in city regions. No, sorry. I'm a little bit confused with this system. So here we are. Yeah. So innovative jobs are just more or less concentrating in city regions. We are moving towards a repair economy. We have very little extension of cities. Population is more or less stable apart from migrants from Middle East and Africa. Mobility is slowly changing, but not as much as many planners hope. The love of home as a reaction to globalization and migration is increasing. So we call it Heimat. So the feeling for Heimat is growing in my country. Consumption is changing. Organic living, of course, but only for those who can afford. Gentrification of rural regions is going on because people could not travel so much, so they had to look for holidays near their homes. And the hopes of planners to densify urban cities is growing towards a 15-minute city district, but we all know that this has also some problems. What we can observe in Europe is that the pandemic has contributed in addition to disparities. So social disparities between the rich and the poor are growing. This is different in China. China is still on the path to modernization. They are building huge science parks. They are trying to do some land reform and rural development under Xi Jinping. They try to eradicate rural poverty with some success. They have an amazing extension of the high-speed rail network. They promote eco-city, smart city, but a lot of them is greenwashing, as we would say. So selling it to the people that it is green, but in reality, apart from a few trees, not much is changing. Concentration in mega regions. Urban regeneration has become a new challenge, but how do you regenerate these urbanized settlements in China is still a very open question. Now, government needs some money. They are trying to introduce property tax and regulate the speculation of housing. We will see where it will end. And of course, they are promoting the new Silk Road to support state industries in China and communicate Chinese culture, so this Belt and Road strategy, which is now being much discussed all over. How it is in the States, I recently read a paper from the American Planning Association in September 2020, and they said, in the face of the pandemic, transit ridership has dropped low. Technology is transforming communities. Artificial intelligence is on the rise. high and very demand on public space, climate action, communities are more diverse than ever. The future of work and workplaces will impact how we use urban space. So there's a totally different perception of what will happen than in Europe. Now, Middle East, I'm not a specialist in the Middle East. Also, I have worked some time in Yemen on the other side here. But what are the trends? I hope there is peace. I hope that the Middle East can reduce the dependency from oil, and this would need new jobs. And of course, they hope that they are welcoming tourists, and especially next year when the World Championship of Football is taking place here in Doha. And they are building what, apart from China, no other country in the world can do at the moment. They can build innovative and livable cities from scratch. This cannot be done in Germany, this cannot be done in France, this cannot be done in Italy. But the key to my understanding is the future of work. The future of work depends on values and culture, technology and tools, environment and workspace. And I share my observation that most planners, young planners educated in European planning schools, also in China, are not learning much about the economy. They are just believing that the money comes from somewhere, from the heaven. And as we know, the money does not come from the heaven. So the society is more and more split between a society which is dealing with money and funds and finance, and a society is dealing with values outside of the financial world. And the future of work requires digital literacy, agility, and so on and so on. Much has been written about that, but I feel that planners are just now fascinated by home office work, and that's all they know about the economy. But all the future of work differs from region to region. If you go to Bangladesh, they cannot dream of what the people in California can dream. And so this will not change after COVID-19, but it will rather be more important. What we know is digital competence is a must. So for the older generation, this has some difficulties. Most office work does not require face-to-face communication, but in the long run, it will be done by computers and not by people anymore. And some production will return to inner city because it is easier now to do any kind of production. We don't build steelworks anymore in inner cities, but we have other jobs in the inner city. Now, better cities. What are better cities? There are plenty of narratives how cities should be better for all citizens. The Garden City, the Charter of Athens, the new Charter of Athens, the Leipzig Charter of the EU. So there are many narratives of how it should be. And if you look at the books which have been published last century and this century, they all have ideas about how should cities be better. And in the 21st century, so the more recent ones from the smart city, the just city, the open city, the slow city, the happy city, the rebel city. So everybody who wants to have a kind of a good academic profile, or he is writing a book about city and gives it a name. They all promote a better city, so the economic agents of the market economy are still making the city. And if you look what people feel what better cities are, better cities in Germany, better cities in China, better cities for those who don't even want to live anymore in a city. They go to a big cruise ship and they have an apartment in the cruise ship. They travel around the world, spend the money they have earned somewhere. And so the image of better cities differs from country to country. Will cities be better after COVID-19? I will speculate. Will they be smarter, more innovative, more creative, more compact, more equitable? What I want to say, there is no fit-all concept for the better city. Of course, cities will be smarter. This has been really accelerated by COVID-19. Some countries were more advanced, others were behind. China is 10 years ahead of us when it comes to the smart city. Europe is very hesitant to hand over the power to the computer. So urban infrastructure is digitalized, reduction of energy and water consumption will be digitalized, urban mobility will be digitalized, not as fast as people feel, and air will be controlled and garbage recycled. All this will be done, and this is all promoted by smart planners, architects, and mayors, because the smart city label is used by many cities, by many governments, to impress media, investors, and cities. There are some darker sides of this smart city development, which I have covered in other presentations, but that is another story. But if you want to understand why some parts of Europe are so slow, it has much to do with privacy and has much to do with data. Will they be more innovative? Yes. Some industries will rethink their global supply chains, however, after the pandemic, and explore opportunities to return to regional production. For example, in my country, Germany, Volkswagen is now trying to bring back some of the production to Germany, building new factories, because they feel they should not rely too much on China. And spearheaded by an increasing trust in intra-regional biological food supply, strategies to operate regional economic circuits will benefit from smart information and communication technology. So all these delivery services, biofood, all this seems to get some push through the pandemic. Will they be more creative? The big losers of the pandemic have been the cultural sector, at least in Central Europe. So the pandemic will accelerate again the local economy. Some industry will rethink their global supply chains and explore opportunities to return to regional production. A strong desire for face-to-face cultural communication. We have a triumph of digitalized cultural production, more and more 3D-dimensional production, new hybrid forms of cultural events and events like this one, more privatization of cultural production and services, and the rise of something which sociologists call prosumption. So more and more people are producing and consuming at the same time. So they go to the theater to play theater, and they go to a concert in order to play an instrument. So this tendency is growing in Europe. Will the cities after the pandemic more compact? I don't think so, because now the climate change discussion will force cities to have more green, to have more open spaces in the city. So they will negotiate with property owners in the cities to turn empty offices and shops, which we experience in Europe, into spaces that accommodate flexible cultural, educational, and health services together with organic food. So it will be a mix of functions. Will they be more walkable? The inner cities, yes, but not the rest of the city. So the inner cities where you have shops and where you have entertainment facilities, entertainment institutions, then they will be more walkable, as we have seen here in this context, in this surrounding. But I don't believe that the electric car will change much. It will just support the car industry again. And maybe car sharing will come up a little bit more. Smart mobility and micro-mobility will be the slogans of post-COVID times anyway. Will cities be more entertaining? Yes, I think so, because the young generation wants to be entertained, and so the cities will be more entertained in the future. Tourists strolling around with their apps powered by smartphones will be monitored by smart cameras and guided by smart travel books. So everything what you do in the future as a tourist will be stored somewhere in the clouds, in big computers. Yeah? And the more tourists are using these systems, the more even better software is developed. China is now at the moment promoting a tool which you put in your ear, and then you speak Arabic, I speak German, and the translation software is translating, and the quality is already almost perfect. So that the future, we don't need English anymore as a communication language. We have the local languages in our ear. Will it be greener? Yes, after Glasgow and after all the concerns of the young generation, I feel cities will be greener. Will they be more resilient? I think so. They will better prepare for post-COVID times. And they will invest, cities will invest in measures to make cities more resilient by doing all kinds of activities. All this will further strengthen the public sector, but it will require more staff with digital competence and higher local budgets. Will cities be healthier in the future? Yes, I think so. For the post-COVID-19 cities, e-medicine will receive more attention and acceptance. Smart devices controlling the greenwashing of buildings and urban agriculture will change building technologies. So COVID-19 will make cities more healthy. Due to the lack of doctors and nurses, however, in Europe, medical education and migration policies will have to be reviewed. You know, already now we have a growing number of doctors coming from Eastern Europe. So again, this contributes to the disparities because the qualified people will go where the jobs are, and the service sector will require nurses from the Philippines and from Indonesia because the educated Europeans don't want to work in the hospitals anymore. So, will it be more equitable? No, just the opposite. After COVID-19, national and local governments will set other priorities, digitalization, health, climate, and there's urban development strategy. Consequently, social disparities will further increase. The gap between affluent and poor citizens will widen, also the gap between cities in developed and developing countries. There is no way to stop this trend. Summing up, there are winners and losers of the pandemic, but as I said earlier, cities will not change. So life and work in the city will be more digitalized. Innovative cities will continue to attract qualified labor and will further expand into the city region like Munich and Berlin in my country, like Lyon and Paris, like Brussels, like Copenhagen. But the future city will remain a very fragmented city of risks and control. Cities will become rich sources of data, and access to and management of data will become an even more thriving business. Benefiting from more empowered local governments, planners can have a positive perspective. They can contribute to make cities better, though they should be aware that in most countries of the world, Western world, banks, insurance corporations, hedge funds, and property owners dominate the market-led economy. Not planners are building the cities, but banks and hedge funds and insurance companies are building cities. And social media and consumerist values of citizens are, so to say, dominating the public life, but the power is not with them. Planners are only one wheel in the urban development monopoly. All these observations suggest that the future city in the developed and developing world will be more digitalized, more resilient, and better prepared to address climate change. Citizens, while enjoying public health systems, new mobility systems, and a walkable city and greener and more entertaining inner cities will be more controlled by public surveillance systems. Supported by national governments, local governments will have more power. So without good and ecologically and socially minded governance, controlling land use and addressing property speculation, cities will not be better. What can cities do? Encouraged by planners, cities will use the crisis to justify in political arenas ideas, projects, and strategies, what they wanted to do anyway before the pandemic, but now the pandemic is giving them another reason. So without good and ecologically, socially minded governments controlling land use and addressing property speculation, cities will not be better. Advice is given by numerous organizations, consultants, and authors to help cities in pandemics. Already now, you cannot count the number of publications telling you what to do. UN Habitat, Alraouf, Scott Galloway has written a book about post-corona. Gail, the Danish consultant, has written about it. So you have a lot of advice, but in the end, you will have to do what you can do locally. You know, in the early part of my presentation, I talked about the 15-minute city. It's a wonderful concept to reduce mobility, but it will contribute to a socially fragmented city. So I don't think it is a good idea. It will create urban islands, like an archipelago, of affluent and disadvantaged communities where kids already learn to which tribe they belong. So, unlocking planning, that was the theme of this event, and things which I have already mentioned here, I just wanted to sum up again. Planners will have to use narratives to reduce complexity, strengthen imagination, unleash creativity, inspire opinion leaders, and attract the interest of the media. Yesterday I learned from one of the group, soil, not oil, holds the future of humanity. I like this very much. But benefiting from more empowered local governments, planners contribute to make cities better, but they should be aware that they are not the city makers. Thank you so much. Shukran.
Thank you so much, Klaus. I think it needs a lifelong learning life to produce an epic, holistic view as you did, Klaus. So I would say wunderbar. Although the message is not always easy to digest for a room full of planners, I think it is necessary to be very introspective. In 6 minutes, we will challenge our outgoing president, Martin Dubbeling, to actually go further into your discussion. You had one particular quote which says that the planners are just one wheel in the urban development monopoly game. Well, I think that's a nice starter for the state of profession we will have. But 5 minutes are maybe just enough to have 1 or 2 clever questions, but very, very concise. So who feels compelled? I see 2 hands. So let's start with the gentleman, Rayendra. Is that Rayendra? Oh, I have my, I don't see that clear, but I see clear enough to see that Rayendra Kumar is taking the floor, and very welcome. No, I think you need a mic. Is there some technical support? Yeah, that would be better.
Sir, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. I have a comment which is connected to questions. You mentioned about smart cities, and also, you also mentioned that post-COVID might be, we are not seeing very much paradigm shift of how we look for city. But in my opinion, this COVID time has given a kind of a push for the concept of a smart city, which was pre-COVID, just before COVID, like all the apps, or you can say Uber, or whatever way, more dependency on digital this thing. So do you think about this COVID time has given a kind of a push of supporting the smart city idea, which is more technology driven, sir?
Klaus, I think we need to pass on the mic, otherwise the airco is giving us a lot of background noise.
Thank you. A few years ago, when IBM started the smart city, it was a business. Yeah, they wanted to make money because they had lost some other business. So the smart city will get a big push now from COVID because people feel that the digitalized city, with all the iPhones they have in their hand, will improve their life. And as I have learned in China, the young generation does not bother at all what is happening with their data. And that differs. Other people says, no, my entertainment, my fun, my convenience is more important. So I can only say the smart city will continue to be a big business. The smart city will increase the convenience of citizens, but from the intellectual perspective, the question what happens with the data will just pushed aside.
Thank you so much. Well, Piotr, you don't have often, as a general rapporteur, the chance to ask something, so please go ahead. Can we pass on the mic to Piotr, please. I know you have a loud voice, but nevertheless, it's good to... yeah, if somebody can just look at this is, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to stay here in this case to give you back the mic, Klaus. Thank you very much for this inspiring talk. And one comment, one question. One comment, I think we have a fantastic topic for one of the subsequent congresses, which means the future of work in cities, you know. I mean, as planners, we love to talk about spending free time, resilience, and so on and so on. Not a single word about the future of work. What you have mentioned, I think, is extremely important for the future of cities, for the future of planning, and the future of the working environment is something we should very much explore, you know. I mean, we are not getting all this money, you know, as you mentioned, you know, dropping from heaven, you know. I mean, we have to earn this money. The question is how, in which environment? And we spend half of our lives in work, right now even more working until very late in the evening. So this is, I think, extremely important question, and thank you very much for making it a kind of serious statement. And the question, you spoke about all these futures of the 15-minute city, and at the same time about regionalization of the city and so on. So my question is, what would be your reflection on the future of the metropolization process? So, you know, that the metropolitan areas will grow or not, the great cities will becoming even more greater and spectacular or not. What would be your reflection on that?
A brief answer, please.
I believe that the central place system in my country, which has been very influential in spatial development and decentralization, is gradually replaced by the concentration in metropolitan cities all over Europe, whether it's Milano, whether it's Naples, whether it's Munich. And the hinterland of these metropolitan cities where the jobs are. Now that is the important thing. We always forget about that the jobs are in the metropolitan cities, not elsewhere. We have a few others, but so these metropolitan cities will grow and grow and grow. But the big challenge for planners is that planning does not end at the city boundary. So these metropolitan areas are very complex political systems. And planners have to feel and have to know how to deal with 25 mayors, or in Paris they have to deal with, I don't know, 1,200 local mayors. And so it is more and more a question of governance and not a question of design and not a question of public transport. That is all second, but the major thing is how to organize these metropolitan regions. And they will dominate the world, as we see in China, as we see in Europe, even in Germany, which is very decentralized. We feel that the future lies in Hamburg, Frankfurt, Munich, and Berlin, but not in the small towns. But the small towns are more and more the towns where people who work in the city center of a metropolitan region like to live. So it is always a kind of mixed feeling, living in a metropolitan region, but living and having the school in a small town near Frankfurt, near Berlin. So these cities are growing tremendously because the inner cities will become more and more consumer and entertainment parts.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry we'll have to leave it there. And of course, Klaus will be available for corridor discussions later on. So it's also a very special pleasure for me to announce our next keynote speaker, Martin Dubbeling, to present the state of profession before his state of profession, before leaving as president. Martin is an urban planning and design practitioner based in the Netherlands. He is president of ISOCARP for the last 3 years, but in and around the board for the last 10 or even more years, as long as I can remember, more or less. And he is also one of the 3 and currently 5 directors of the ISOCARP Institute, the Center for Urban Excellence. As Vice President of ISOCARP 2011-2017, he organized a series of successful urban planning advisory teams, our so-called UPADs, in Singapore, Russia, Palestine. I was there. I think I was the client at that time, and then I became also a contributor in one of the sessions in China, in Wuhan, long before the COVID, in South Africa, in Norway, since 2018. And I also remember, Martin, an exploration for a UPAT in Kabul, yes, but some bomb explosions didn't make it really safe to go ahead with this, so maybe another time. Since 2018, Martin Dubbeling is Senior Urban Planning and Urban Designer of the Municipality of Eems-Delta in the Netherlands, focusing on rebuilding, restructuring and transforming Delfzijl, Apingendam and Loppersum into a sustainable and resilient city or cities. Martin, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, dear board members, dear members of ISOCARP, dear Congress delegates here present in Doha, virtual, in the real time, and on YouTube. Dear colleagues and friends in our vital profession of city and regional planning, urban design, and placemaking from all over the world. I am delighted, and it's my honor to address my state of the profession in my capacity of outgoing president of ISOCARP. The state of the profession is one of ISOCARP traditions that enables the outgoing president to reflect on his past 3-year term and on the profession of urban and regional planning profession in general. The images you see next to me is a selection of 120 photos I selected for this presentation, one for every month I served on the board of ISOCARP. These are all pictures of members and members' activities in the past years. Let me start that I'm inspired by Professor Sam van Emden, the founding father of ISOCARP and the first president of ISOCARP between 1965 and 1975. Sam van Emden was a Jew, and through a close network of family, friends, and colleagues in the planning and architectural profession, he could avoid and prevent deportation in the Second World War. It is therefore remarkable that 20 years after that Second World War, Sam van Emden built ISOCARP as a trans-European network of architects and planners in an act of post-war reconciliation. Gradually, ISOCARP became a global network of planners. When Sam van Emden left as president in 1975 and was succeeded by the German architect and planner Gerd Albers, and I'm eager to talk with Professor Kunzmann about Gerd Albers, probably I expect you know him, Members of ISOCARP, after Sam van Emden stepped down, labeled Sam van Emden as a symbol of the European man of the future. For Sam van Emden, urban planners and designers were the doctors and surgeons of cities. And this concept of planners being the doctors and surgeons of cities has inspired me a lot. When ISOCARP was founded in 1965, population of Western cities increased rapidly. Became clear that town and regional planners had tasks beyond housing and that good planning was important to stimulate economic development, to manage social change, and to tackle environmental challenges. ISOCARP was founded to study and to discuss urbanization that was progressing irresistibly in the 1960s. Today, more than 50% of the world population is living in cities, and this percentage is increasing. The motto of ISOCARP, Knowledge for Better Cities, describes exactly what we are and what we do and where we as a society of planning professionals stand for and still stand for. The inaugural Congress of ISOCARP was held in the Netherlands. In the past 5 decades, ISOCARP has grown into a worldwide platform where planning professionals from all corners of the world and from all ages and backgrounds share their knowledge, experience, and passion for the planning profession. To my opinion, this learning network of planning professionals still is the greatest asset that ISOCARP provides to its members. In the state of the profession from Sam van Emden, when he left in 1975, he addressed what he called the horns of the dilemma of planning. And I quote, "There is no doubt whatsoever that we simply cannot stop or even slow down planning and organizing cities without immediately endangering the existing of 3, soon 6 billion inhabitants of this city. With other words, the more we build, the more we destroy, and the more we have an impact on the life of others." I resume the quote. But the more these planning systems will extend and tend to organize their lives, the more each separate individual will feel exasperated and the stronger it will oppose the restrictions laid upon in the name of community. I continue the quote. "The only answer I would know to this dilemma refers to a renewal of our mental disposition. In the first place, it concerns those who must accept planning and the results of planning. But also, and of course in the viewpoint of Sam van Emden, this is very important to him, but also of those who are actively involved in the planning world. That's we. For all of them, the main objective should be to find out how to plan freedom. In my opinion, the opinion of Sam van Emden, this means to learn how to plan as if we were not planning. This is more a question of mental attitude than of method, more of wisdom than of knowledge. To this, just as to every other fundamental problem, there is no real and lasting answer. Each new generation will meet it under another appearance. We should search for ours." I end the quote. To reflect on this, these words of Professor Sam van Emden are as topical now in 2021 as 45 years ago in 1975. I find inspiration in these words for my work in the Netherlands, for the municipality of Eems-Delta, where I work, as Frank told, with 100 other and extra colleagues on the completely renovation and rebuilding of historical and industrial towns, villages, neighborhoods that were affected by thousands of small earthquakes induced by the extraction of natural gas. You can read the article in the review that was handed over to you. Now back to ISOCARP of today. The ISOCARP network and the ISOCARP congresses has always been inspiring to me to do more and to do better. The themes of the congresses always were and still are forward-looking and addressed issues and topics that were well ahead of the then-present discourse, like the Creative City in 2005, Post-Carbon Cities 2009. This is one of the reasons I became an active member and a board member of ISOCARP. My 10 years at the board of ISOCARP as Vice President UPATS and President of ISOCARP, and almost 4 years as one of the 3 directors of the ISOCARP Institute has been an incredible journey. This decade enabled me to initiate, lead, and participate in numerous workshops, missions, trainings, publications, expert meetings, juries, panels, seminars, and congresses. My interactions and cooperation with hundreds of members through these years have been a real privilege and a truly humbling experience. Meeting with other members has been my biggest inspiration to become president of ISOCARP. I have learned a lot from these interactions from both senior and young planning professionals. Simultaneously, I have seen young members entering ISOCARP, and I've watched them grow and develop at an amazing pace. I would like to highlight and introduce 3 of those young and active ISOCARP members. One from Europe, one from Asia, one from Africa. They represent the next generation of planners. They represent the future generation of ISOCARP. They were my inspiration to become president of ISOCARP. The first younger planner is the talented landscape architect Martina Von Leerop from the Netherlands. Martina and I worked at the same planning office for several years, and I was happy to introduce Martina to ISOCARP by inviting her to the YPP workshop at the 2010 Congress in Nairobi, where I was invited to be one of the YPP workshop coordinators. In 2012, Martina also participated in the YPP workshop in Perm and in Minsk. In 2014, Martina was selected as the YPP coordinator for the workshop in Moscow and a team member of the ISOCARP UPAT team in Gaza and the West Bank, where Frank referred to. For this and future UPAT workshops, Martina successfully developed and designed the Plan magazines. I will hand some out later today. In 2016, Martina was the mentor of the Mentor and Student Research Lab in Gdansk. And in the same year, Martina got a position at the Research and Teaching Associate at the Munich University of Technology, where her ISOCARP experience helped her with preparing students to be future planners, as well with managing international projects. Martina hopes to finish her PhD in collaborative planning of green infrastructures and have more time for ISOCARP again soon. Thank you very much, Martina. I'm convinced that you will take many more interesting steps in your brilliant career. The second young planner is Ni Mendong, Jackie for Friends. He is an urban planner and rural planner and designer working at the Ningbo Urban Planning and Design Institute. And he is now the vice director of that same institute for the Spatial Resource Planning Department. I have met Jackie Ning Mindong in 2014 at our wonderful Congress in Gdynia in Poland, where his institute received the awards for excellence for spatial strategy for the conservation and development of the Ningbo Xiangyang Harbor. In 2018 and 19, the Ningbo Urban Planning and Design Institute hosted ISOCARP Urban Planning Advisory Teams workshops and also young planning professional workshops on several topics. In 2018, he was a valuable member to the UPOD workshop for the inner city of Durban in South Africa. Through these years, I had the privilege to be a guest of the Ningbo Urban Planning and Design Institute for multiple visits and exchanges, and experienced that Ningbo is one of the most livable cities in China. Thank you very much, Jackie Ningming Dong. We became close friends, and I hope to meet with you soon again in China or at one of our next congresses. The third young planner is Professor Hangwelani Hope Maki Dimisha. She's here present. Please, Hope, stand up. Hope made history as the first black female South African to graduate with a PhD in town and regional planning at the University of KwaZulu-Natal in 2015. Through her impressive CV, there is a very strong red line with ISOCARP activities, such as her participation in the YPP workshop in Gdynia in 2014, writing and reviewing multiple ISOCARP Congress papers, and as a member of the local organizing committee for the fantastic and glamorous ISOCARP Congress in Durban, South Africa in 2016. For this Congress, Hope was the organizer of the YPP workshop, and later she was involved in the preparations of the UPOD workshop that was hosted by the city of Durban. Last year, in our fully virtual Congress, and this year again, Professor Hope is our co-rapporteur of this Congress here in Doha. Thank you very much, Hope, for your services of the Board of ISOCARP. For your services, the Board of ISOCARP granted you and General Rapporteur Piotr Lawrence a bronze and honorary institutional membership of ISOCARP. Martina, Jackie, and Hope have in common that they have joined ISOCARP at the start of their career. And they are regular participants at our congresses. And they have served in Congress teams and have initiated and participated in YPP and UPOD workshops. I am very, very proud that ISOCARP gave them a platform and that they and other members benefited from the international exchange for the knowledge of better cities. Since I joined ISOCARP in 2005, the activities and open network brought me to 90 cities in 30 countries on 5 continents. This experience has taught me that the key success factor for future of the next cities is to combine the values of livable, sustainable, inclusive, competitive, and smart cities. In addition to what Professor Kunzmann just explained, successful and sustainable cities and towns must display flexibility and, to quote Sam van Emden, successful and sustainable cities, towns and cities must plan for freedom. Plans for towns and cities may last for a long time and really redevelop themselves over decades and centuries to accommodate new functions and to make new requirements. Changes throughout the time and changes in identity and functions are necessary to retain the vitality, competitiveness, and livabilities of towns and cities. In these cities and throughout history, products were manufactured, goods were traded, taxes were charged, armies were equipped, and travelers, refugees, and migrant workers are welcomed. So cities became increasingly specialized in the manufacturing of certain goods, a trade, land events, government, religion, education, and science of culture. In the past decades, cities became increasingly specialized in tourism, sports, and media, like the city of Doha. One of the lessons that can be learned from the past is that successful towns and cities can become better and stronger places on 3 key conditions. Condition number 1 is that these towns and cities are capable to repeatedly adapt to new functions and identities. That also requires something about the city planners, by the way, but that is where we are here for. Condition number 2 is that these towns and cities need to learn and to combine and to include old and new values, old and new functions, old and new identities, and old and new technologies. Condition number 3 is that these towns and cities, and their city planners of course, need to actively involve and engage their old and new inhabitants and their old and new communities in creating better places. This is a continuous struggle in all cities in the world, Europe, United States, Middle East, and in Asia. To conclude, my state of the profession, I thank the present and the previous board and staff of both ISOCARP Society and ISOCARP Institute for their support and collegiality, and for sharing the same dreams, ideals, and vision. My successor, and 18th president of ISOCARP, will take over all my tasks, duties, and responsibilities in both the ISOCARP Society and the ISOCARP Institute during and immediately after the annual general meeting later today. I am convinced that my successor, Pietro Ilaisai, has the experience, wisdom, and vision to lead the ISOCARP Society as president in the next 3 years and to lead the ISOCARP Institute as one of the directors. From my experience, Pietro, I can confirm that this is a huge task and that it will take most of your time. But he will need your help, your trust, and your support in the next 3 years. A few specific words of thanks. I thank Dr. Xinan, Secretary General of the Urban Planning Society of China, for welcoming me in China and providing us leads to UPATs and YPP workshops in Chinese cities. I thank Professor Hongyang Wang from Nanjing University for honoring me with my official Chinese name, Du Ma Ding. I thank DJ van Koetsem and Daniele Veterato for the joint adventure of almost 3.5 years in what we called the startup, the ISOCARP Institute, the Center for Urban Excellence, the successful and independent project office of ISOCARP. I thank Frank Dont for inviting me to exciting missions to Ramallah, Gaza, and Kabul, and for being our energetic Secretary General. I wish and trust that ISOCARP Society and ISOCARP Institute have a great and prosperous future. During the AGM, the annual general meeting here in Doha, we will present and discuss the board report, the annual accounts, and the budget for next year. I welcome you all, in person and virtual, to join this meeting and to discuss the future course of ISOCARP. My final words in this state of the profession is that I am especially grateful to my lovely wife and ISOCARP member, Saskia Spijkerman. Together we participated in all ISOCARP congresses since our first congress in Bilbao in 2005. Saskia supported me in the past 10 years while I was on the board of ISOCARP. She allowed me to spend thousands of hours behind my computer for ISOCARP, and she allowed me to travel abroad for several weeks every year, and in 1 year, even for several months. Thank you very much, Saskia. Thank you all. Thank you all very much for your trust. Thank you all very much for your support. And thank you all very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Martin. Well, a state of profession is like a state of union. That's what it is. no questions allowed. Of course, we will have plenty of time still left to discuss with Martin wherever you are together. But I believe we have to give time enough for the next session. I still have 1 minute left, and I would like to use it actually to remind you that you are all very, very welcome to contribute to the Doha Declaration. So that will be the final statement of this wonderful conference. The text is prepared, the draft is prepared by the ISOCARP Scientific Committee. The chairperson could not make it here, Duško Bogonovic. He is in New Zealand, and coming here was possible, but going back was a bit more complicated. But we have the co-chair among us, Kate Holmquist. So I would say engage with Kate, engage with the declaration, make your comments, and hopefully we are able to conclude tomorrow on this statement. The second issue I want to mention is the wonderful review of world planning practice. I think it's a marvelous piece of work every year, and spread the message. More people should get it and read it, because it really reflects the state of the profession. But this year is a special year because it also reflects the state of our awards. And this is a good bridge, let's say, to the final section of today, which will be about the planning awards, the ISOCARP Excellent Award. We already had a virtual session that was led by Anna Peric, the very energetic board member dealing with the awards, but she could not be here with us in person today. But I believe, Anna, I hope you are somewhere in cyberspace with us, and I would really like to thank you for your incredible dedication, both to the awards but also to the publication about the awards. But I'm so happy and thrilled also to announce the handing over of some of the awards to some of the people who could make it in person by our board members and my dear friend Dr. Ali Alraouf. I'm sure most of you by now know who I am talking about. Yes, he is certainly one of the driving forces that we are here together today and in the past days and in the coming days. Let me see. Ali is an architect, urban designer, and planner interested in research and practice related to comprehensive sustainable design and urban planning. He published more than 105 journal refereed papers, critical reviews, essays, in addition to books and book chapters. I mean, the short bio of Ali is actually so long that we would take a lot of time to present it, and I all invite you to just visit the website of ISOCARP, where we have all the extended bios of every board member, so including the one of Dr. Ali. So, Dr. Ali, I would like to invite you to the floor for another exciting part of this conference, and please, the floor is yours.
Now I'm on? Okay. Excellency, dear Engineer Mubarak Naimi, the head of the organization committee, Brother Abdullah Al-Karani, the director of the urban planning, Brother Turki Al-Turki, the assistant of the director, Mr. Martin, our dear ISOCARP president, dear colleagues in the board, and also our guests and participants. I am really honored to be here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I was advised to close my jacket, but I am in Qatar. And I think you experienced the hospitality in Qatar in the last 48 hours. You cannot lose weight in Qatar. A lot of wonderful food in Qatar. And therefore, it will be very hard for me to close my jacket. Another interesting experience that I want to share with you, I had this morning a wonderful discussion with my dear friend Eleanor, who gave us a couple of days ago amazing, what I call it, out of your heart keynote presentation. And she told me this morning that what I felt so far is that I am walking in Doha. Doha has a spirit. There's a spirit for this place. It's not like a typical city that you are moving in or experiencing. There is a spirit and there is a sense of place. And I think this is one of the most beautiful compliments that I've heard about the city that we love and the city that we are so excited that all of you are around. Let me share with you how we are conducting the coming 25 minutes. ISOCARP is not only about sharing knowledge. It's not only about gearing all of our capabilities for the sake of making better cities. But it's also about encouraging people, encouraging creative planners and designers, encouraging excellent authors and writers and researchers, and more significantly, encouraging students. And therefore, oh, wonderful, we have one of those. This one, good. So we have 3 categories of awards. The first one is related to excellence, which is basically about a practical project, how the creativity of urban designers and planners were geared towards the realization of all the concepts and the theories that we talk about. The second award is related to the notion of publications, because also ISOCARP is about documenting our ideas and envisioning the future of urban design and planning. And then the third one is related to students. Now, as Martin and Frank shared, we were not able to bring everybody because it was very, very tough in terms of the post-COVID-19 paradigm. But I want to start by thanking our dear friend, Dr. Anna Persch, for an outstanding work. She has the energy, she has the commitment to push the program of ISOCARP Awards, to select an excellent jury members, to spend hours and hours doing a very objective evaluation of the huge number of projects, book chapters, essays, and books, and so on. So the very first project, the Award for Excellence, we received 2022 projects coming literally from all around the world. And we have an excellent jury debating the projects. And the very first project is the guidelines for generation of the old communities in Jiangsu. And we have a movie for that.
Lao le, oh lao le. 就跟这些房子一样，自从93年搬进来，我在这里恋爱、结婚、抚养小孩长大。虽然这里看起来很旧了，如果能好好的修整一下呢，我都想再住上个30年哦。
In many cities in China, there are lots of old communities which are similar to the place this old lady lives. Most of them are government welfare housing and affordable housing, built before 2000. Problems such as the aging of infrastructure, the insufficiency of facilities, and the absence of management are common. Residents here strongly wish for community regeneration and reconstruction.
这 这个房子呢是92年的安置房，到目前已经有30多年历史了。
噪鸣问题、情绪的问题是我们居民最困扰的。
小区的环境这么差，已经不是1、2天了。
WiFi收不上来，那个小区靠位杆是广不过来啊。
These old communities generally present the characteristics of dual decline of physical space and social environment. However, we still regard it as future possibility for dual enhancement of urban functions and social governance. In recent years, Jiangsu province has kept propelling the guideline for regeneration of the old communities. By coordinating space, society, economy, and governance concerns, we come up with a creative regeneration mode to prospectively prevent community decline and make the city more inclusive and sustainable.
我们在编制指南的过程中，始终坚持以人民为中心的理念。老旧小区到底改造什么？如何改？改过之后如何维护？我们需要尊重居民的意愿，让民主协商贯穿改造的全过程，引导居民从被动接受改造到主动参与更新。
During process of installing lifts, we explored the co-funding mechanism for government, residents, and private actors. The designers organized My Home, My Design activity in the campus. After the regeneration, residents spontaneously established community organizations.
老旧小区改造的另外一个方面呢，就是系统性，尤其要关注新需求和未来性，具体体现在适老化的改造、儿童友好、安全韧性、绿色发展以及可持续的社区营造和智慧技术应用等方面。
指南在城市联通方面给了我们很多的启发，使我们将更多的目光聚焦在围墙外，通过增设次级出入口、连通滨水步道断点等方式，让老旧小区的改造具备更多的空间可能性。
小区围墙开放后，成为城市共享的绿地空间。
自从有了这块公共空地，附近的老百姓啊都喜欢到这个地方来玩，晚上可热闹了。
Previously, regarded as city-wide problem, old communities are usually directly restructured after building demolition, which led to economic and governance dilemma. By re-evaluating the old community value, the guidelines come up with holistic harmony goal, which includes physical environment improvement, local culture inheritance, employment and economic prosperity, management governance resilience. The guideline also encouraged social participation and stakeholders' cooperation to control the implementation, feasibility, and sustainability.
I think you would agree with me that this is a very human-based project, and let me share with you the Dewey statement. The guidelines for regeneration of the old communities in Jiangsu presents a progressive alternative to top-down renewal models that often stop at demolition and reconstruction and lead to the displacement. Instead, these guidelines not only represent a framework for integrated renewal and regeneration to address spatial, social, and economic condition in 1,070 old communities in Chinese cities and towns, but established a unique people-centered co-creation planning and governance model that incorporates active resident participation in all phases of planning, participatory design, construction, and eventual self-governance. In Jiangsu province, 6,274 old communities have already benefited to date from these guidelines that balance the use of big data and strategic planning with community involvement and present a replicable, innovative approach for equitable urban regeneration. Excellent project. I want to invite the Jiangsu Planning and Design Group representative to take the award. I'm sure they are in the room. I was told they are in the room. Okay, that's absolutely fine. The second award in the same category is for space syntax, and this is the Nur Sultan 2 2030 Master Plan. They are here. Can you check the afterwards?
Space Syntax worked on the 2030 Nur Sultan Master Plan. We led a multidisciplinary team, and that team included expedition engineering, who looked at energy and waste, Gustafsson, Porter and Bowman, who looked at landscape and public realm, and it included mobility and chain, who looked at issues around transport. We took a very specific approach to the master plan, and we basically approached it in 4 stages. First stage, we started to ask what the city should be like in 2030. Then we started to analyse what it's like now, how close to that 2030 vision it currently is. Using that analysis, we can then decide and we can identify how to change it, and then finally we can test how those changes work. So in terms of understanding what the city should be like in 2030, we engaged with stakeholders, we reviewed policy, we looked at international best practice, and what came out of that was that the city, to meet its targets, needs to become livable, sustainable and healthy. We could take the existing city and we can compare it to the vision that we want to create. So we looked at the performance of the city, how livable it was, how sustainable and how healthy. But really importantly, we could analyse the existing city systems, the infrastructure and the transport to see why the city was or wasn't meeting its target. Now at the moment, Nur Sultan has things that a lot of global cities have, but it needs to go through a second stage of development to become more human scale. Third stage was to understand how to change the city. We can use our early analysis to target specific changes to exact locations. We know from analysing the city that it's big and low density, and that makes it feel very quiet and inactive. And to prevent any further sprawl, we wanted to concentrate any population growth within the boundary of the current city. And this will help to improve and intensify parts of it. We needed to add bridges in particular places, and that will help reduce congestion on the existing bridges. And we also needed to identify the best places to accommodate new jobs. Finally, we needed to work out how to connect the new jobs to the new population. last stage of the master plan was to try to analyse the proposal and understand if the changes worked in the way they were meant to. took the model that we made earlier on, we added the proposals, added the new project, and then we reanalysed it. Now the master plan puts in place the conditions for the city to become livable, sustainable and healthy. It makes it more walkable, it reduces the dependence that people have on private car, and it puts in place strategies for the city to meet its emissions and recycling targets.
I will share with you the jury statement in a minute, but I was just told that our dear friends from Jiangsu just arrived, so please come to the podium. Congratulations. Sure. Sorry? Their slide? Sure, sure. Oops. Here you go. This is your project? Okay. Congratulations. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Oh, certificate too. Thank you. Congratulations. Let me go back to Nur Sultan 2030 project, and this is the jury statement. The Nur Sultan 2030 master plan takes a strategic, outcome-focused, and evidence-based approach to planning for climate extremes in Kazakhstan, and is centered on densification and improvement over greenfield development. The multidisciplinary design team and stakeholder engagement proceeds and identified regeneration opportunities that integrate systems across multiple scales and respond to community needs, leveraging smart planning methodologies like urban modeling and scenario testing. The master plan provides for long-term accountability and ensures that strategic renewal plans support the 2030 vision. I am honored also to invite the Space Centex representatives. Please, congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Most welcome. The certificate too. Thank you. Sure, congratulations. The third winner in the same category, the Oriental Consultants Global for a project mobility development strategy for the North Hanoi Smart City. Oops, are we?
Greetings.
We don't have a video for that?
On behalf of Mr. Junji Shibata,
One more click.
I present to you the following Merit Award-winning project, that being the Mobility Development Strategy for the North Hanoi.
Oops.
behalf of Mr. provides holistic smart city solutions across various sectors, including housing, renewable energy, waste management, health, governance, education, and mobility. Vietnam has been growing rapidly, and its capital city, Hanoi, has created the North Hanoi Master Plan to 2030 to accommodate the increase in population and economic activities. However, Hanoi currently struggles with traffic congestion and air pollution due to an increasing demand for cars and motorbikes. The North Hanoi Smart City project is a mixed-use transit-oriented development strategically located between the city center and the international airport along the planned extension of Hanoi Metro Line 2. With its development vision as a smart city that minimizes private car use while still providing a high level of comfort along with a healthy lifestyle. This smart mobility strategy provides a transport planning and technology development roadmap and consisted of 9 tasks. After collecting all available data on transport, land use, and infrastructure, as well as available and soon to be available smart mobility technologies, the second task was then to agree to the strategic mobility goals coupled with key performance indicators, or KPIs. The vision and mission statements of the mobility strategy conveys the message that the North Hanoi Smart City will aim for safe, green, smart, and timely access within and outside the smart city. The goals can then be achieved by implementing various technologies, ranging from embedded sensors that collect mobility data to smartphone applications that enhance one's travel experience. Concurrently, a comprehensive overview of shared mobility was provided, with such services reducing the need for private ownership of a vehicle while still providing seamless travel. A macro simulation transport model was then developed to understand the expected traffic conditions within the smart city and identify potential areas of concern based on the proposed road network. Scenario testing was also conducted to estimate changes in traffic when various mobility strategies are adopted. The next 3 tasks were also worked on concurrently. For public transport, the desired mode share target, or the percentage of all trips originating or ending in the smart city, was set to 10%, to be accomplished through high flexibility, high frequency, and high quality public transport. For the road network, designing streets to be smart, green, and complete streets ensure benefits for mobility, ecology, and community. And for parking, recommendations were provided to manage the parking supply and encourage shared mobility and clean vehicles. This was then all compiled into a mobility development strategy report, which incorporates further recommendations of planning concepts, including the 15-minute city. We approached this mobility strategy considering 5 key issues: Hanoi's humid subtropical climate, emission-free mobility and living, green sustainability and climate change resiliency, innovative smart city components, or the integration of intelligence systems utilizing Vietnamese, Japanese, and international technologies, and connectivity between the project and the surrounding area in order to deliver a successful transit-oriented development along the extension of Hanoi Metro Line 2. The mobility strategy approached this vision from an international best practice perspective through the consideration of the UN Sustainable Development Goals within the local context of the 2030 Master Plan, along with the North Hanoi Smart City vision and mission, to then establish the mobility themes of safe and healthy lifestyle, connectivity and accessibility, clean and green mobility, convenient and inclusive mobility service, attractive and prosperous economy, and competitive and innovative technologies. In order for the client to better understand the functionality and impacts of each of the smart mobility technologies, we organized an in-person charrette workshop with proper social distancing. In addition to the visual design, the charrette also included a storytelling component to encourage the participants to consider how residents and visitors would interact with the smart technologies in their daily lives. Through a multi-criteria cost-benefit evaluation, the implementation of 30 smart mobility technologies were grouped into 3 packages, named Eco-Design, Convenient Tech, and Deluxe. From smart poles with sensors and EV buses to personal rapid transit and delivery robots. These technologies can work together to achieve smart streets that provide intelligent service, green streets that serve environmental sustainability, and complete streets that work for all ages and abilities. The future is indeed uncertain. So how can planning and planners possibly approach such uncertainty? Well, based on this case study, we strongly believe that implementing the following strategies will result in a winning project. Clear visioning and strategy development, participatory planning across disciplines and sectors, and a multi-criteria analysis considering various benefits and risks. In conclusion, we are confident that the mobility development strategy for the North Hanoi Smart City, once implemented, will contribute to the paradigm shift of people's lifestyle, as well as the mobility development towards sustainable and prosperous community of Hanoi, Vietnam, and the global community. Thank you for your attention, and be sure to visit our website for more information.
And also let me share with you the jury statement. The mobility development strategy for the North Hanoi Smart City boldly goes beyond multi-model visions to present a model for zero-emission transportation and walkable urbanism. The project demonstrates the potential of smart technologies, presenting artificial intelligence and smart systems as a means for reinventing the public realm at both the systems level and human scale, and subverting automobile dependence. I want to invite our dear old friend, Mr. Shibata, representing Oriental Consultant Global. Please. Mr. Shibata, if we are in Japan, we will do that, right? But we are in Qatar. Give me a hug. Congratulations. Mr. Shibata is really an old friend for all of us and also for the city, and we are so proud that you are helping us and supporting us, and congratulations. I will bring your slide back just a second. Oops, you okay? Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Greetings from Japan.
Now, the second category of awards, as I said in the beginning, is related, I need to speed up time a bit, is related to writing and research. And we have, again, interesting contributions from all over the world with a wonderful jury. And we ended up with an excellent paper by Thomas, and the title is Sustainable Land Management in European Context, Go Design Approach. And I think Thomas is here. Yeah, sure. Congratulations. Thank you. There you go. We are at ISOCARP, we also encourage students, and we encourage their creativity and their courage. And therefore, we had a record of 36 submetals from, again, different parts of the world. And the winner is Maria Solikovo and Lamia Ahmad. Their paper called Beyond Survival, Building Resilient Community Through Co-Creation for Rohingya Refugees in Bangladesh. And I think both of them are here. Yes? Wonderful. Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. There you go. One for you, and one for you. And the two names are in the two certificates. I am really proud, particularly for this specific award, because it's not only for a student, but it was for a Qatari student, and they're really, really proud of her. I know her since she entered the college, and she was exceptional on every level. So I want you all to share with me a great appreciation for our dear sister Moza Ahmed Al-Obaidan for her interesting paper, Rethinking Qatari Neighborhoods and Dwellings. Moza, are you here? Where are you, Moza? Come on, Moza. I was right saying that since you entered the college and you are exceptional, right? I'm so proud that you had this award, and I'm really acknowledging the support of ISOCARP for having this award for the young generation, particularly from Qatar. Congratulations, Moza. ألف مبروك، يعطيكي ألف عافية. One more final students award for an excellent paper called Restructuring the Spatiality of Performative Culture, Manifesting the Expression of Work-Based Clusters in the case of Kumbhorati Kolkata. Abhishek D is here also. Yes, wonderful. Congratulations. There you go. Excellent work. Excellent work. Now, this is the end of it. Thank you so much. And please, let's see it for all the winners. Frank, the floor is yours. Thank you, sir. Thank you. No, you'll use this one.
Thank you so much, Ali, for mastering this wonderful ceremony with, I would say, a beautiful mix of old, young professionals. And we, of course, are looking forward to see the young professionals further grow and share their experiences with all of us in the future congresses. This is the end of this morning session. I thank you very, very much for your attendance. You will have the time for a break before going into your workshops. Let me just remind you that at 6 o'clock we all gather in the ballroom to visit the exhibition. So put that on your to-do list as well, and use the wonderful printouts to really, refresh your mind about what's on the display this afternoon, because there is a lot to choose from. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful Congress. Yes? Oh, really? We have another surprise?
Yeah, he has a
All right. So please, hold your breath. Hold your breath. We have a special addition, and we will have the video now. Yes? You need your laptop, of course. Yes.
You are a seed, the beginning of a new awareness, a new global movement. You have life in you. Share it, spread it, bring your thoughts and skills. Make it all fruitful. Tomorrow brings challenges and opportunities. Grow. Grow the resources to embrace science and experience for global sustainability. Grow the tools and use technology to cultivate a new and better future together. Grow the knowledge to reconnect to nature and promote a greener development. Grow the balance between local and global, planet and people, today and tomorrow. Growth starts with you. Welcome to Expo 2023, Doha, Qatar. Qatar has the perfect conditions for this growth to take roots. From Doha, we can grow a green desert and a better environment. Our expo site consists of 3 main areas designed to host, gather, and inspire. Together we can sow the days of tomorrow for everyone to enjoy, everywhere. We are expecting you on the 2nd of October 2023. One expo site, consisting of 3 character areas, is growing now to welcome you in 2023 to the future of horticulture. You are the seed and the movement that will gather the world in Qatar. Together in Doha, we will grow a green desert for a better environment.